break. Good girl. So guys, break time means you're free from command. It means you're free to do what you want within reason. We don't recommend a ton of free time, especially in the first 3 months inside the house, because we want our dogs to build a new association to the house, one that is structured and teaches them how to be calm inside the house, which is why we're recommending lots of duration place time, duration downtime, kennel time even when you're home, unless you're doing something specifically with them. And your dog, I promise you, will appreciate that. There might be some sort of messy middle where they might try whining on place or whining in a downstay or whining in their kennel just to see, oh, maybe if I whine, she'll let me out. But that is part of the reason. I'm so sorry about this toilet seat. This is life with a toddler. That is part of the process. We're doing these things to get over that hurdle of the attitude of maybe if I whine, they'll let me out, because that is part of the core problem. Once you're over that hurdle, it's a lot easier. So let's say we want to get our dog to place. I am going to use my recall, right? So I'm going to say COME. I'm going to tap the tone at the same time, which is the button over here. And I'm going to use my pointed finger to point here and say place. And she already knows what I'm doing. Down, you always want your dog to be in a down on place. You never, ever, ever want them to be standing or sitting or spring-loaded to get off. The only association we've created with this bed is calm. And that's the only thing we've ever asked her to do on the bed is calm down. So she goes on there and it's almost like a human yoga mat for a dog, where she just goes and she relaxes and she goes right into that double down. We've started patterning that as well. If you ever put her on place and she's whining or demand barking, all of that stuff gets corrected, not rewarded. The reward is nice, calm behavior, then we release you. So let's talk about getting her from place into the kennel. We call this burning trails. So you're gonna wanna figure out common pathways in your house that you're gonna be calling her to and from and perfect those. So it might be kennel to where she goes potty, and then where she goes potty back into place, and then maybe from this place to the place upstairs. You can practice all of this so that it's perfect. And we don't want you to say, okay, Willow, you have 12 hours a day where you can do whatever you want, but we're gonna take 5 minutes and do some training. I literally want it to be the opposite. I want it to be structure all day with beats of different parts of the day where she gets free time. So just make the training part of your routine. So to get her in the kennel from any point in the house, I'm going to use my recall where I'm going to say COME. I'm going to tap the tone. She's gonna come, I'm gonna say good girl. I'm gonna use my pointed finger and I'm gonna say place. Come, good girl. Place. She needs help, I'm gonna tap my tone again. Place. My pointed finger, place. Good girl. And again, if she steps out, I'm gonna tap my stem. I'm gonna tell her to down. Down. Good girl. Give her some reward for that. We're gonna repeat that because obviously she was confused about where to go because we haven't practiced this one very often. So you guys wanna keep practicing until you, as Josh calls it, burn the trails, where she does it and it's perfect all the time. Okay, again, we want the crate to be associated with calm behavior, not anxious behavior, no growling in there. When she first came to us, there was lots of growling because she would go in here and feel powerful and big and bad. And it's not uncommon for dogs where all the aggression comes out in here because they think they're untouchable. And so if you just say, oh, well, she's growling in the crate, let's get rid of the crate, I promise you, the core issue is still there. It'll come out somewhere else. I promise you that. So instead of saying, let's get rid of the crate, she's growling in there, we say, we're gonna keep the crate and we're gonna tackle the growling so it goes away. I haven't seen her growl in the crate here since like day 2 or 3. Okay, so she should be able to stay in the crate during the day when you're home, even with the door open. Not when you leave the room. If you want to practice having her in the kennel with the door open, you need to be in the room because you don't want her to just walk up and leave and nobody's there to say, don't do that. And every experience she has where she's breaking a command and not getting corrected, it's reinforcing it. So only if you're in the room and somebody's around to say, I'm going to enforce this boundary. Otherwise, the door needs to be shut. And it's totally fine. Actually, we recommend it for her to be in the kennel while you guys are home for at least an hour a day. And be calm and quiet and respectful. This will help so much with her overall behavior and routine and structure, especially when a baby comes home. You're gonna want this kennel time for her, for everybody, because she gets a break, you guys get a break, okay? All right, so let's say I wanna get her from the kennel to the place bed. I'm gonna use my recall. Come, good girl, I'm gonna use my finger, place, good girl, down. Very nice, good girl. So when she's on the place bed, that means she can't step off until she's released or recalled, no matter what's going on around her. So you guys could be doing chores around the house. You could be vacuuming, you could be cleaning, you could be doing dishes, you could be cooking a meal, and you know where your dog is. She is not allowed anymore to just pick herself up and move herself across the room and put herself on a couch or anything like that, or start roaming around the house. It's very structured, and we're recommending this for at least 3 months, possibly even more since you have a baby coming. Now, this will keep her nice and calm when you guys are doing things with the baby, changing diapers, doing tummy time on the floor. When the baby gets to be a toddler and starts walking, and more so, I'm gonna guess around the age of 15 months, the baby is now going to be the struggle because you have a dog that's trained, but you're gonna have a toddler who's now really curious in the dog and is gonna start walking up to the place bed and poking the dog and hitting the dog in a friendly way, of course. Putting things on the dog, that has to stop. That is the point now where you need to teach the toddler boundaries. You can't go up to mess with Willow when she's on place because I'm telling you right now, Willow will not appreciate it. The same thing that Willow does with the brush when it's put on her and the nail clippers and the Dremel, she will do that to a child. That is our prediction. So she will hand out a warning where she says, I don't want to be touched right now, and it'll be a growl or it'll be a snarl. And if the baby continues to push the limits, that's how kids get bit. So when your toddler is walking around and showing an interest in the dog, and we know Willow doesn't like it, she can be in her kennel, or you can put her on place somewhere where the baby can't get to it, like up here. Okay, I just want to make sure we're clear on that because I have to do the same thing with my dog, Riggins. He does not want Jessie to come up to him and touch him. Okay, it's a really nice place for Willow to be pet by you guys and me, right? But not a toddler and not a baby. And she loves her place bed. She goes here and just melts into the cot. Very, very nice, Willow. Let's try a recall to me and then put her in a down. So again, if you want to get your dog from point A to point B, you always are going to use your recall. Come, good girl. Sit. I'm going to direct her into a sit, down, and then into a down. And again, she's anchored here. This is another stationary command, just like place, but without a border. So she can be in a down stay if you guys are in the kitchen cooking or at the foot of your desk, anything like that. And the way that you keep the strength of this command, like I'm gonna correct all this sniffing. No. Good. Is you start to correct her when she makes a mistake. So if I walk away and she were to get up and follow me, I would just say no. I would click, and then I would say down. And this is how it keeps the commands, it keeps them valuable. Because a command really doesn't mean much if they can only hold it for a half a second. But the way that we teach our commands is that I'm not having to hit the button a lot because she's taking me seriously because of all of our past experiences together where I've corrected her for making mistakes. So now there's just no confusion. She knows exactly what to do. And we also have our double down where, watch this, I'm gonna tell her down again. If she doesn't put her chin down, I'm just gonna click. So she's so good right now, she heard me say down and she put her chin down. Now, let's see if we can get her on place without saying the recall. Let's do a double down now. Down, no click needed because she listened to the verbal. Good girl, very good girl. I'm gonna try to get her on place without saying the recall. So this is called send to place. So I'm just gonna say the command word, use my pointed finger, place. Good girl. She goes on the place bed. If she didn't automatically lay down, I would tell her down. Such a good girl. You're making me look so good. Hi. Now, one more thing before we end this. She had trouble going in here. She was confused. I didn't sense any brattiness. I was just thinking she just didn't know what I was asking for some reason. Let's see if we cleared it up the first time, if she does it smoothly. Come, good girl, place. Perfect. So if you guys ever have trouble, and I put that in quotes, where she's like, oh, she's just not doing it smoothly, you're gonna get it right, even if you need to grab the leash. Notice I have a leash on her. That was gonna be my last step. If she really couldn't figure out to go in there, I was gonna grab the leash and guide her in. But you always wanna repeat it until you get that. Good girl, okay? Break.